Back in 2009, they were able to power a car using only solar power. Aircraft have been successfully powered entirely from photovoltaic cells at this point. And this is what solar cells look like. And PV stands for photovoltaic cell. Just to give you a good visualization, solar power represents a fundamental shift in how we produce and distribute energy. Solar is renewable. The Earth receives more energy from the sun in 1 hour than humanity uses in a year. We haven't seen the upper limits of solar power implementation yet. Solar generates electricity without direct carbon emissions or air pollutants. It has the potential to significantly lower carbon emissions. It's extremely flexible in terms of how you deploy it. Stable energy costs over decades when paired with battery technology. This graph shows the US monthly electric power sector generating capacity by source. And you can see that solar and wind have been going up, with solar in particular skyrocketing in the past year. 4 years, coal has been in decline. The photovoltaic effect was discovered in 1839 by French physicist Edmond Becquerel. This phenomenon occurs when materials generate electric current when exposed to light. Modern solar cells use silicon wafers with precisely controlled impurities. And solar technology exists in several forms. This is what the updated graph for 2025 looks like in terms of efficiencies, where the highest is at 47.6%. It's clear that the southwest of the United States has the most potential to harvest energy from the sun. Instead of finding an oil reserve or a natural gas deposit, you have this inherent capability to produce more energy, and this is in kilowatt hours per meter squared per day. The first practical silicon solar cell was created in 1954 by Bell Labs researchers, achieving only just 6% efficiency, but demonstrating potential. The first significant market emerged in the space program with the 1958 Vanguard 1 satellite, providing reliability despite costs exceeding $1,500 per watt, which is very expensive. The 1970s energy crisis, with the US establishing the Solar Energy Research Institute in 1977, which funded crucial research. Germany's Renewable Energy Sources Act in 2000 created the first large-scale feed-in tariff, establishing a stable market that encouraged investment. And interestingly, a feed-in tariff is a policy mechanism designed to accelerate investment in renewable energy technologies by offering long-term contracts to renewable energy producers. And China's entry into solar manufacturing after 2005 transformed the industry through scale and competition, accelerating cost declines toward grid parity. The point at which an energy source becomes a contender for widespread development without subsidies or government support. And certain places have reached grid parity before other places. You can see the southwest of the United States is all green. A significant decline in price. That's a 99.8% reduction over the course of about 46 years. This is what the price decline looks like, and it's projected to continue going down. Here's a good price history graph as well. This represents one of the most dramatic cost reductions for any technology in human history. And a part of the reason for the decline in price is process automation. Solar installations can be constructed in months rather than years, allowing capacity to respond quickly to growing electricity demands. It is declared the cheapest electricity in history. And that brings us to negative electricity prices, which is fascinating because it's a recognition of capitalism's reaction to extremely cheap electricity. Negative prices occur when supply exceeds demand and generators pay to continue producing, signaling oversupply while incentivizing consumption during peak production. California's wholesale electricity market experienced negative pricing during 5.8% of hours in 2020, up from 1.5% in 2015, concentrated in midday hours when solar production peaks. Solar facilities generate electricity with essentially zero operational costs, fundamentally changing market dynamics built around fossil fuels. To produce energy from fossil fuels, it costs significantly more than to produce electricity from solar. Production tax credits can make it economically rational for producers to accept negative prices, effectively creating a price floor below zero. It's a weird thing to think about, right? Something as fundamental as electricity being not just free, you're getting paid to use it. You're effectively getting paid to consume this fundamental resource. Limited transmission capacity prevents excess renewable energy from reaching high demand areas, creating localized oversupply, which is a limitation of the grid. It's not a limitation of solar. There's an abundance of solar. There is a lack of investment in the grid infrastructure. And this is where battery technology comes in. It's as if they didn't expect it to get so cheap so fast. Traditional electricity markets struggle with abundant, zero marginal cost resources. Batteries store excess solar power generated during daylight hours for use at night or during cloudy periods, dramatically reducing reliance on the grid and enabling true energy autonomy. Stored energy can be deployed during peak demand periods when electricity rates are highest, creating significant cost savings by avoiding expensive time of use charges. Integrated systems provide backup power during outages, maintaining essential services when traditional grid power fails, and enhancing energy security. This shows how solar and battery systems operate. Batteries provide crucial and technical economic advantages for solar integration. Lithium-ion battery prices have fallen by almost 90% since 2010, following a similar cost decline curve to solar PV and making combined systems increasingly economical. Solar power challenges fundamental assumptions of capitalist energy markets. Capitalism developed around allocating scarcity, but solar creates potential energy abundance, challenging markets to value a resource that becomes effectively free during production peaks. As customers generate their own electricity, utilities face declining sales while maintaining grid infrastructure, potentially creating feedback loops where rising rates accelerate customer defection. Unlike traditional energy requiring massive capital investment, residential solar allows households to become energy producers, shifting power from corporations to distributed producer consumers, which is what we see with people putting solar panels on the roof of their house. This is becoming much more common nowadays, especially in areas with higher solar radiation, like the Southwest. The first mass deployed panels will reach retirement in the 2030s, creating waste management challenges requiring recycling infrastructure. Policies must address impacts on communities dependent on conventional energy. Anyone that's working in a coal plant might not have a job in several years. Deploying solar too fast risks grid instability, requiring careful management of transition timing. There's no doubt that this trend is going to continue. And moving forward, there need to be plans to handle this, because electricity potentially being near free has profound impacts on a deep societal level. These are my sources for the video.